Yes. Right, we're recording. Good morning. 6:30, Friday, October 24th. Another Friday safety focus of the week. We unfortunately suffered a auto accident on Monday. That was preventable. That kind of erased our count. So we had a recordable along with the first aid with our vehicle incident. So really focused on the road, especially this whole getting darker kind of gloomy environment that we kind of talked about leading into this time of year. um, Kind of gets us sometimes. So we really got to focus and pay attention to what we're doing, making sure we're giving ourselves ample stopping distance with things in front of us. So no distractions, really paying attention, going the right speeds. Hopefully we'll prevent some of these situations that are happening. Especially like right now, we got operations going on. I was just hearing the forklift truck kind of in and around. Let's make sure we're wearing our vests out there around the shops, around there in the backyard. Very dark. It's hard to see people, a lot of glare this time of the day. So let's make sure we're wearing our vests. And if you see somebody, let's say it, bring it to their attention so they're wearing their vests so no one gets struck by out there. This week, we're going to talk about forklifts. It's kind of our annual kind of refresher on forklift safety. The goal of operating forklifts is to not tip them over. All right, that's the purpose of today's training, is let's not tip over a forklift. So we have two types. We have a class 4 and a class 7. The class 4 is kind of the one we have here on the shops. We have 3 of them. And then we have that class 7, which is the kind of the people in the field, kind of lull, telehandler. There's a lot of different names for them, but what they are is it's a class 7 forklift. So before you jump in one of those, you need to get with the safety department. We have to just kind of give you some quick hands-on training, a little bit of a paper version, kind of a theory version of it that we can do usually in about half hour, 45 minutes, just to give you kind of the awareness hazards so these things don't get tipped over, because these are one of the most likely pieces of equipment to get tipped over on construction sites. And that's why there was an OSHA standard that came in the 90s, because a lot of employers were pretty much throwing anyone with a driver's license in one of these without any proper training, and we're tipping over forklifts nationwide. So there is an OSHA standard that we have to follow regarding training prior to operating a forklift. So what do we got for hazards? The struck by is a big one, getting struck by the forklift itself. So all the pedestrians walking by might not be part of the operation, just might be kind of getting by, going from office to office environment. Really want to stand out, wear those vests, but also make sure that you have eye contact with the operator prior to kind of getting in the swing radius or kind of getting in the operation of the forklift, making sure that you are being seen and he sees you or she sees you. And then that rollovers that I already spoke about. Rollovers is a big one. Most forklifts are a lot tippier when they're not loaded, when you're not carrying a load. They're designed to carry a load. So the center of gravity is way more in the middle of the stability triangle that we talk about when it's unloaded. And when it's loaded, it gets more on the front axles, and you have a little bit more wiggle room for side to side protection. And then we got falling loads. Again, anytime that it's not fixed, a load could slide off forks and it could hurt somebody. So we got to make sure that we're doing our best to have 100% connection on these loads, double wrap, choker slings, or just make sure we have the right application for doing some of these picks that we have with the forklift. So our best practice that we want to always have is make sure you've been trained. So no one should be operating a forklift if you haven't had training. If you need training, just get with Tom and myself. Like I said, it's not a big to do. It could take us a really quick order time. We try to do recertification every 2 years. All that really is a competency check by Tom and myself. Some of the issues that we've had in the past is a good trained operator forgetting to wear their seatbelt. So that's when we would probably do a little retraining with you quick. Hey, remember that forklift, we've got to wear those seatbelts. It has a rack. So anytime there's a rollover protection cage on a piece of equipment, you got to wear your seatbelt, because if it does tip over, it's going to save your life. A lot of fatalities have happened in forklifts because an employee doesn't have a a seatbelt, tips it, and then it gets crushed by the rollover protective cage. So we want to make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to do, not operating it too quickly, being smooth and being precautious. Want to make sure we're inspecting before we use. If there's any issues with it, please let the shop know. Want to make sure that we're not running defective equipment out there. Making sure you know the weights. You know, for the most part, we're moving around kind of plate tamps and some pipe and things like that with these forklifts, or form truck, or forms for concrete form materials. So we're usually always inside the weight limit of the forklift, but everybody should understand where that forklift is, especially in some of these telehandlers, how far you can get away from the base of the forklift with a load if you're launching it inside an excavation per se, or something far like that, because these things can be pretty tippy. So we don't never want to work outside the load chart of your forklift. And then ground personnel should make eye contact before approaching. Couple safe tips out there for driving a forklift, because again, these are a mobile unit that we are very handy, saves back in time on personal lifting and just overall overexerting ourselves. So we want to be using these tools. We just want to be using these tools properly. So keep it slow. It's not a race. Do not travel or turn with a raised load. The forklift could tip over. Face your load uphill, and then going downhill, reverse and travel. Again, especially if you have blind spots, it's a lot easier to like look behind you versus trying to, if you have this huge box and you're trying to go forward. If you have to go forward, grab a spot or grab somebody, grab myself, Tom, Billy, Elliot. We're willing to help anytime we're doing any of these things here on the shop, or if it's on a job site, just talk with your fellow teammates out there. To make sure we set ourselves for success by having more eyes on the operation. And then be careful with that reverse, with that rear swing. These things pivot and the ass end kind of slides from side to side. So if you are really close with that and someone does make a violent sharp turn, there's a way that you can get sideswiped pretty easy, or you could swipe inside into a building, or you could sideswipe into a vehicle and do some property damage. So again, that's all things that we talk about kind of on the more formal training, but there's things to remember. And then one of the last things is just that other hazard that we have is that propane. At least the class 5s are all run off of propane. The other ones off of diesel. But wear gloves and glasses when handling, and then monitor for leaks is all big one. If again, any issues like that, just get with the mechanics, making sure that we're not exposing ourselves to a potential flammable hazard out there. And can't stress it enough, this is what we're trying to avoid. A big part of this training is we don't see this. We don't see these forklifts up on the side. They're not very stable when they're not loaded. So whipping around, going fast is a very unsafe behavior. And if you don't have the right tolerance, there you can easily find yourself losing stability and going over. So please operate safely, cautiously, and follow those best practices when operating a forklift. Anything to add?
Yeah, just a few things to add real quick. It's important to remember that if these are unloaded, that they're very unstable and that your center of gravity is going to be behind you, and our brains don't really comprehend that very well when it comes to operating anything, because we're usually used to our center of gravity being out in front of us or directly beneath us. So be mindful of that. You also don't have to go very far out of our sphere to find places where these have been deadly. What was it, 2 years ago over at the beta site, PC had a fatality due to a telehandler incident. So we had guys working on that in that same area, not that same exact site, but in the same area of that site when this occurred. So it was very close to home. So just be super mindful of that. And let's avoid this ever happening to us.
Yeah, they've got rollover. Ours in the yard, they have rollover protection, so seatbelts are required.
Yep.
And there was another fatal, I think it was fatal, about 5 or 6 years ago over at Adams Park. A conventional forklift on a loading dock. So it's another one close to home. Can you see my screen?
We do.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, guys. Anyone have anything else on forklifts? Okay. Code of conduct. item of the
Yeah.
week?
Hey,
Yeah, go ahead.
I do have something on the forklifts. We
Go
do a
for it.
lot of lifting with the pintle on the fork. You're got to kind of use your head a little bit and look at the fork because you're way out on the very tip. Your load's actually rated right at the mast, and you're getting half the capacity with just one fork. If it lifts it with the forks, it might not necessarily lift it with the pintle at the end of the fork.
Yeah, if you got any questions with the forklifts, go to see the guys in the shop because they use them all the time, right, Pat? It's throwing chains over the forks and different things like that. You want to check with the shop to make sure you know the proper way to do it. Any others? Thank you, Pat. All right, code of conduct item of the week: don't overpromise or underdeliver. Be honest and realistic with your commitments, and add a little bit of time in there to reserve for the unknowns. We do now have a corporate discount available from Roberts Energy. They're offering a discount to ECI employees that are in the auto scheduled delivery plan or in a budget plan for their home heating oil. 10 cents off a gallon on every delivery for as long as you remain a Roberts Energy customer under one of these two plans and an ECI employee. And there's also a $25 credit that will be applied to your account if you enroll in one of these two plans. I wanted to make sure to reach out and thank Rose Sibley, employee owner Rose Sibley. She came up with this idea the other day and took it and ran with it. And she came back with a nice letter that there's a link to this here. The letter to Engineers Construction, which explains the program. They've got their phone number on there if you have any questions, and it's a letter that you can print out if you want to have it, bring it home. See if it's something that's going to work for you. I'm not sure where all the locations are and where they serve, but I know they've been growing in the area quite a bit. They're probably, if you just go on the web, I don't know if does anybody have Roberts Energy for their home heating stuff? If you do, we can just probably Google it. But I think that's pretty nice savings for us. Every little bit helps. And again, thank you, Rose. She's always thinking of something. She's got a lot of good ideas, so I'm looking forward to hearing more. That was a nice effort on one of our fellow owners. The topic of the week is to embrace challenges. I think you can read through this, but embracing a challenging situation is we can always learn from doing something difficult. It builds courage and strength, the strength of our team. And I think that it's part of what we do at ECI. So I'll let you read through that on your own. I repeated a couple of announcements from last week regarding the winter fuel and equipment care. That way you can refer to it. If you have any questions, talk to Pat or anyone else in the shop if you have questions about the winterization processes around here. And another reminder from last week was the ESOP beneficiary designation forms. I believe that we've got a bunch of them already done, but there's still a lot that haven't been turned in yet. So we want to try to get those, and we have a goal of getting them by next Friday. Please welcome Barry Smith. He's in the shop. He's a mechanic working in the shop. He's also a pretty good fabricator, I believe. He's going to be doing some fabrication efforts for us. I think he's working in the main heavy equipment shop right now. And he started this week. So welcome, Barry. Okay. So this week we're going to talk about some of our precast concrete efforts that we do here in the backyard. And I got a lot of the information and photos from Ron Johnston and Cody Marsh, and Ron is going to present this morning. Ron?
Yep. Yeah, you can drive, Ben. I'll just
Okay.
read it off the thing. In addition to all of the projects that the concrete team does, we are often seen out in the yard building precast projects ranging from simple items like bollards and light pole bases to complex bridge and culvert components. These more complicated structures are often pre-built in the yard and transported to the project that involves a shutdown. Having the concrete structure built and cured ahead of time allows us to shut down a road or rail line and have it back in service in a short duration. These specialty projects are both challenging, rewarding. The ability to make our own components gives us control of the quality and the schedule, as well as the actual benefit and satisfaction of performing the work ourselves. Below are photos of our most recent precast project that is a part of the Chester GMRC 25 Bridge Rehab Project that will be featured next week. Some information on these precast structures is as follows. 2 concrete rail bridge abutments, and there is like 3 sections for each abutment. 2 railroad tie support walls, 60 yards of 5,000 PSI self-consolidating ready mix, 7,000 pounds of epoxy reinforcing bar, and the heaviest piece was 19.25 tons, and that was basically one of the sections for the abutments. And here's some photos. This is us doing the footers, basically, or the base slabs, I call them. There we are. We got them all built, rebars in. We were putting in for the, I don't know really what, I guess they were for like the anchor bolts, the metal pipes here with the little red ribbon kind of around the top of them. That was for the anchors of the actual bridge. There's just another picture of us getting ready. This is the day we're getting ready to pour them. We used our trailer pump to pour them.
That's out on your precast slab.
Yep, out here on a precast slab, and then we actually did another slab over, and you'll see later on in the pictures. This is the pipe that we had to put in. This is for the anchors that holds the actual bridge railings or beams, I guess. And then we had to do a little donut on the top of them because they didn't want the pipe to come up to the top of the slab. So we kind of did a little 1.5-inch donut on top and then pulled that out after it's poured.
We'll see more on those probably next week when we see them going into place.
Yep. And now this is us pouring them. You see the guys were kind of standing on them, trying to make sure that they weren't moving too much as we poured around them. And if anybody's ever used that self-consolidating concrete, you basically pour it and you try to flatten it off best you can, but it's very hard to work with. It's real sticky. So there's one of them. One of them's all poured, and we're pouring this next one. We poured basically the trailer pump with the 2 center ones, and then the outer ones we could reach with a truck. That's one of the ends that we were pouring out of a truck. Here's our wet curing.
Are those soaker hoses?
Yeah, we ran soaker hoses. We put 1 layer of wet burlap down, then ran soaker hose, and then ran another layer on top of the soaker hoses, and then covered it with plastic. That's state requirements. See all the little kickers and stuff we had to have on there to hold our precast straight. This is us. There's getting ready for the walls, closing up some of the other abutment for the walls to get ready for the pour. We got our burlap soaking already. It's a picture of everything all ready to go. This is one of the railroad tie wall supports. Basically there's two of these. Each one of these goes behind the abutment, and then the ties as the ties come up to the abutments, they sit on these little walls. That's one of them finished and stripped out.
You had
Oh,
a
yes.
custom painting person.
Yeah, we had Sarah come out and she did the stenciling. She did a nice job on it. And that's finished product, waiting for the guys to take them to the job site.
So that's one of the 3 pieces for one of the
Yeah, that's
abutments.
one of the end pieces, and then the one to the left is the center, and then there's far left is the other end piece. Couldn't get a picture of all 3 of them in there, but just this is at least 2 of them.
A lot of concrete. We'll find out where they went next week.
Yep.
Thanks, Ron.
Yep, you're welcome.
Cool. I found this in the archives. Ron, you remember this job?
Yeah, I do actually. This is back
This
when
was-
Mark Nash was here, and
Yep. This is was on the VTR, the Phoenix Feeds culvert that you guys built a precast culvert, and it was right out next to where all the dump trucks back in out here in the backyard on our other precast, our first generation precast
Yep.
slab.
that was our first precast slab that we did, and that has heat tubes and all that in it. We were thinking that we were going to be able to do an enclosure over it and heat our precast in the wintertime. There's
So that's Mark-
Jack, and there's Jack. Yeah,
Is that Jimmy or not? Laughlin? I don't know.
I can't tell that. I know the other one is Mark Nash on the left.
I know
That's
Jimmy.
100% Jimmy.
That's Jimmy Laughlin because
Yeah.
you'll see that he picked it. So, yeah, Jimmy and Mark and Jack Kerr.
I like their protection on the rebar at the ends of them. They put pipes on them.
Yep.
Didn't notice that yesterday.
That's kind of cool. I didn't realize that was Jimmy when I found that. That's awesome that we got
Yeah.
another picture of him. So there's your footing and your walls. Look at that, Mark Nash.
Yeah, they're screening it off.
Oh, nice concrete.
Yeah, using the old our old bucket. Wow.
You guys didn't have the trailer pump then, and
No.
you so we used what we had, right, Ronnie?
Yep. And we're pouring the top.
So you guys formed that in the upright position and put a wood to remove on the inside. That was a cool project. I think people will be able to see. Yeah, that's why Jimmy was involved.
Yep.
There we go. There's a couple of pictures of the finished project.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
That was right after we got that crane, not too far after. 450. Ah, there it is. I don't know why you have rebar sticking out. You must have had a head wall or something you needed to tie into.
Yeah, there must be. I don't remember that if there was like little wing walls or what there was, but
Yep.
there was definitely something tying into it.
Yeah, this one's up where where the install was going to take place. It's not our yard. Cool. Thank you, Ron. You were on that job. That was a year after you came here, I think.
Yep. Yeah. There's one of our first little precast things that we did. It's pretty cool.
I believe that was one of our first more complicated precast projects that we ever did here. So cool. All right. Thank you, Ron. Appreciate it. And I'll turn it back over to Matt.
If you're watching the group setting, please send that over to Tom and myself so we can capture this morning's attendance. Let's have a great day. Let's have a safe day. Let's drive safe today. Let's go get it.
And we got 5 extra minutes, so that's good. Have a good day.
Yes, sir.